In this section of the muscular system, we're going to talk about skeletal muscle anatomy. Skeletal muscles have two attachment points. The first attachment point is called the origin, and the origin is the muscle attachment to the stationary bone, or the muscle attachment to the bone that doesn't move. The second attachment point is called the insertion, and the insertion is the muscle attachment to the bone that is not stationary, or the bone that will move. In this illustration of the bicep muscle, this area up here, or the point of attachment, is called the origin, and this area down here at the point of attachment is the insertion. The reason this is the origin is because the humerus and the scapula are stationary. And the reason why this is the insertion is because the radius is the bone that moves during flexion of the bicep muscle. Muscles are typically grouped by their actions, and there are three groups of muscles. The first group are called the agonists. The second group are called the antagonists, and the third group are called fixators. Agonists are the group of muscles that creates the movement, and there are two types of agonist muscles. The first type are called the prime movers, and the prime movers are the major muscles that perform the action. The second type of agonist is called a synergist, and a synergist are a group of muscles that aids the prime mover. So in this illustration of flexion of the forearm, the bicep is the prime mover. It's an agonist muscle. An example of a synergist, it's not pictured here, would be the brachioradialis. The second group of muscles are called the antagonists, and the antagonists are muscles that oppose the movement of the agonist. So again, looking at our picture of flexion of the forearm, right, we've already talked about the bicep being the prime mover, the agonist, and the tricep now is the antagonist. It opposes flexion. And the last muscle group are called fixators. Fixators are a group of muscles that hold bone in place while other bones are being moved. Some examples of fixators are muscles of the back which help keep the scapula in place. Nomenclature is a naming system, and there are 7 different ways to name skeletal muscle, and any one of these ways can be used in combination. They don't have to be used individually. The first way is by the direction of the muscle fibers. The second way is by location. The third way, by size. The fourth way, by the number of origins. The fifth way, by shape. The sixth way, by origin and insertion. And the final way is by actions. Examples of muscles named by location include the pectoralis major and the biceps brachii. Pectoralis refers to the pectorals, pectoral means chest, and brachii refers to the arm. An example of a muscle named by its origin and insertion would be the brachioradialis. It attaches to the brachium, or the arm, and it also attaches to the radius, the radialis. Examples of muscles named by the number of heads would be the triceps brachii. Examples of muscle named by their function would be the extensor muscles found on the forearm. These muscles, such as the extensor carpi radialis, extend the wrist. An example of a muscle named by its size would be the gluteus maximus. Maximus meaning large. Examples of muscles named by the shape would be the deltoids. Delta is a triangle, and the trapezius, which resembles a trapezoid. And finally, examples of muscles named by the direction of their muscle fibers would include the rectus abdominis, rectus meaning head to toe, so the muscle fibers on the rectus abdominis move from superior to inferior, and another abdominal muscle would be the external obliques. Oblique meaning at an angle.